Hello, YouTube. It's Carrie here, and I'm coming out to you today with Liz's topic of the week. So, who am I? What are my stats and surgery, and how do I eat and exercise? So, I live in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Right now, I'm out in California visiting my family. Um, and I'll be going back next week. Oh, I'm very sad. But I'm excited to start school year. I'm doing a degree right now in food technology to work in the industry because I think they're doing it wrong and I want to fix things so that less of us have to have surgery and more of us are healthy and live long lives. Interesting fact about me, I grew up in Rome, Italy. From the age of 11 until I graduated high school, I lived there, and it's part of my childhood that I really, really cherish. All right, let's get down to the stats. For most of my adult life, I was floated sort of between 240 and 260, depending on what diet I did, and like I'd lose the same 20 pounds over and over again. But that was my set point for most of my adult life. But my highest weight before surgery was 302 pounds, and at that point, I could barely walk. It was the weight was really harsh on me, and I have severe asthma. Well, I had severe asthma, and terrible joint pain and a lot of issues at that weight of 302. So back in January 14th of 2009, I had mini gastric bypass down in Henderson, Nevada. I think my surgical weight was like 292. And unfortunately, I was given an over bypass. My lowest weight was 124 pounds. And basically, when I found out that I was over bypassed or likely over bypassed, I had to start eating a tremendous amount of food in order to not lose any more weight. And so for about 2 years or so, I had to consume about 6,000 calories a day, and I had all kinds of food intolerances, and I was gluten intolerant and lactose intolerant. I couldn't eat sugar, I couldn't have a lot of fats, and it was horrendous. I was sick all the time. Then finally, in March of 2012, I had a revision surgery and found out that I had been over bypassed by almost my entire small intestine. Um, so I was revised to a modified RNY. My weight at the time was about 140, 137, 140. But I had to eat like a crazy person in order to counteract the weight loss and to stabilize my weight. After I had my revision, I probably regained in the next year maybe about 20 pounds or so, 15, 20 pounds, and stabilized at around 160-ish. But then the following summer is when I got sick with severe anemia. I had a parasite, a tropical parasite. That's crazy stuff. And because it was up in the bypassed area, it was eating my blood. And so I had severe anemia until I figured out that I had this parasite. And had not transfusions, but I had iron infusions. My regain in that year, from the summer of 2013 to the following year, was close to 100 pounds. I went from about 160 to 252 pounds as the highest of my regain. And that happened in about less than a year. Then in the following spring of 2015, I decided I really had to do something about my health. I had resolved the issues with the anemia. And so I was like, I can't have done and gone through everything that I went through just to be right back where I started at. And so I started doing a lot of my own research into nutrition, absorbing as much information as I could from every source that I could. I decided to go pescatarian that spring, and I lost like maybe about 5-10 pounds doing that. Not an awful lot. It didn't make a huge difference. I was still eating plenty of carbohydrates at the time. So although it had a little bit of an impact and I did feel better, my health started feeling a bit better. It wasn't until the summer of that year, the summer of 2015, that I finally got all the carbs out of my diet. And that's when I really started to lose. And I started to lose at a rate of about 5-10 pounds a month. Now, I got to pretty much what my goal, close to my goal, between like 135 and 140. My weight's been a little bit higher here that I've been at my parents' place because I've been eating a few things I shouldn't. I'm not exercising quite as much as I used to when I was at home and had more regular routine. And also, I've been recovering from a emergency surgery this past summer for an internal hernia, a Peterson's hernia, which is actually 1% chance of complication from an RNY. I'm so lucky. But so now my weight's fairly stable at about, like 135 to 143-ish kind of thing, kind of ebbs and flows and whatever. But I would like to get down to 130. That is my goal. That is the weight I would like to be at, and I plan on having plastics done in the next few years. Of course, you see, like my first weight loss surgery was in 2009. I'm like 8.5 years out at this point. So I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm quite happy with everything in it. And I think, after that revision, I kind of expected some regain because I had to eat so much. We got used to eating a crazy amount of volume before when I had to counteract the over bypass. And I'm glad that I finally figured it out. And so now, how do I eat? Well, let's do the exercise first. So I exercise probably about 3 to 5 times a week. Out here, I've been going to jazzercise about 3 times a week with my mom, and sometimes I'll go on like a walk on the trails here, which is about, I think, 4 kilometers, 4 kilometers, I think. The last time I did that route, I did the 4 kilometers in about a half an hour. I was sort of jogging half of the way, and was pretty proud of that. So then I do jazzercise with my mom, and I do like the high impact versions. When I first started doing that class with her a couple of years ago, I was like, I think 220 pounds at the time. And so to go in there now and be almost 100 pounds lighter it's really fun, and it's really enjoyable. And yeah, I remember what it was like, when I first started and how hard it was. And now it's so easy. At home, I have a more rigorous exercise routine. I am a member of the Y near my house, so I go very often in the evenings, probably about 3 to 5 times a week, and I do cardio, and on alternate days I do weights. I also do balance exercises and some stretch work. So getting to and actually for the exercise, for the cardio that I do a lot of elliptical. So I'll do like 40 minutes elliptical, but I try to do 40 minutes to an hour. I try to do it with my hands up as much as possible. And I look like an idiot, but I get an awesome workout that way. When you do that and like you're relying on all of your core for your balance, I found that it has had the hugest impact on my core strength. I never used to be able to do, like the leg lifts, and now it's really, really easy for me. And I attribute that to doing that elliptical. Every time I get on the machine, I get my arms up and I do it like that. And you're balancing using all of your core, and it makes a big difference. So I'm glad I sort of figured that out and discovered that, because it made a huge impact in my muscles there, my core strength. All right, let's get to the food. So I eat, now that I've been in the first year of my food tech program, we do a culinary year. And so you're eating all kinds of different stuff. So, and there's not a lot of like fresh fish stores out where I live in Niagara Falls. And so I couldn't really maintain the pescatarian diet very well. So I am eating other stuff now. I generally tend to stay away from poultry, kind of not that fond of it. Although I do like duck. But yeah, I still eat, I prefer a pescatarian diet. I find I feel better when I eat a pescatarian diet. And I don't just eat fish. I eat a lot of different seafood. I eat lobster, I eat clams and oysters and mussels and squid and octopus and shrimp and crab and all different kinds of stuff. I like a really varied diet. I eat a ton of vegetables. I grow my own garden. I've been missing it because I've been away from my garden, and I have friends taking care of it while I'm away. But I'm looking forward to enjoying it when I get back, which will be next week. So I'll have to put a video of the garden then. So I eat a lot of different vegetables. Because I grew up in Italy, I got a lot of exposure to a lot of different produce that is not as common here, although you are starting to see more of it now. So stuff like fennel, which is funny, I didn't like when I was a kid, but I love it now. And I eat a very diverse diet. I eat a lot of greens. I actually really love greens. I eat a ton of garlic in my food. You can make anything delicious, like any kind of vegetable delicious, by roasting it with olive oil, salt and pepper, garlic, and chili flakes. That's what I find is like my favorite combination for like pretty much anything. And just sort of like slow roast, make sure you get the caramelization going and cook it well. I think a lot of times when people don't like vegetables, it's because they don't know how to make it so that it's super delicious. And I think it's really important that your food be absolutely awesome and super delicious. That's one of the hashtags I like to use is I only eat delicious food because I do. You know, my nutrition is key. We're all bariatric patients. Having a nutritionally dense diet is super important. I manage my vitamin intake through food, and so I am very keyed into the kinds of nutrients that are in my diet. And I make sure to get a whole span of the nutrients that I absolutely need. So the other thing that I want to mention, so I do absolutely low carb. I'm not crazy with it. So like a little bit of flour on something is not going to kill me. It's not really going to affect my progress in the long run. Something like a big bowl of pasta, that's going to catch up with me. And I tend to gain weight really quickly when I start eating those refined carbohydrates. So those are not in my diet. I dump very easily, so no sugar in my diet. I could dump on anything over 5 grams of sugar, and so I'm really careful with that. I don't use fat. It's not like the keto thing. I'm not doing really the keto thing where I'm tracking all these macros and I'm like, yes, fat is the big goal. And no. I use the fats in my diet to make things delicious and to make my food super yummy. I don't really monitor how much fat I put in. I don't eat like a low-fat diet. If I buy dairy, I buy the full-fat versions of stuff. But I'm not like, oh, I need to get my fats in. No. It's more about making my food delicious and eating food that's really good for me and that I love. And actually, I am also writing a book about this because of all of the experiences I had with my regain, and because it's such an issue in our community. That is something that during my recovery, I figured it would be really great to start focusing on that and start writing that book. So I'm about halfway done. The written part of the book, and then I'm going to be working on the recipes. I've already started a bit on the recipes, but I'm working on the recipes during the school year when I can test all the recipes in the kitchen. So really excited about that, and hoping to get that finished in the next year or so. This keeps going. Okay, so and that's me. So yeah. For more information on sort of like the type of food that I eat, I've been posting lots of recipes and I want to continue to do that. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do one this week, but I have a whole playlist of recipes on my channel, so check that out. Subscribe to me if you haven't already, and it's nice to meet you. Bye, guys.